What's up, guys? How you doing? Good? Great. I hope so. You ready to suffer for another hour straight in this damn game on this damn stream? Well, you can't. You know why? Because this is not a stream. This is pre-recorded! Okay, ignoring the fact that the shirt I'm wearing is different to what you saw me wearing a second ago, ignoring the fact that my hair is longer than it was a second ago, ignoring any of that, just please listen to me now. See, anyone familiar with my videos as of recent, I say recent very lightly, will understand that I want to do a live stream of Pokemon Sword, specifically a Nuzlocke live stream, mind you, in celebration of the release of the upcoming Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl and Legends Arceus. And I wanted to have those live streams up before the game's released. As of recording this, it is like, what? 2 weeks away? Yeah, I don't think those live streams happened. You see, for some reason, some lovely reason, my computer decided to work. Basically, whenever I tried to either work on videos, just browse the internet, or live stream, my computer decided to lock up and freeze and crash. I don't know why, I don't know how. I tried to fix it, and I think I did, but by then it was too late. So, between the time of me fixing it and me not fixing it, I decided to do what I didn't want to do in the first place, and that was to do a diary-style Nuzlocke. So, I recorded, instead of live streaming, I recorded the Nuzlocke from where I left off in the streams to the very end. And thank goodness, OBS, absolutely amazing. Whenever my computer did crash, it stopped recording, but it did not corrupt the file. I have settings in it that made it so it didn't. So even when it did crash, I was the one on top. So before the video starts, if you want to go back and rewatch the live streams I did, and then come back to this video where we'll continue from the last stream onward, you can go do that. Or, don't watch the streams and just watch this point onward, which I think would be better, because it looks a lot better than the live streams did, that's for damn sure. Anyway, sorry for the inconvenience, sorry for the wait, hope you all enjoy the video. See you at the end. So, last we left off on the streams, we had just beat up Milo and all of his Pokemon, and we were headed for Ness's gym. But before I sat down to record all of this, I did the most British thing I could think of. For this British-based Pokemon game, I made a cup of tea. And I drank it from a cup that I had made specifically for the streams. I noticed all the Pokemon on it, specifically Galarian starter Pokemon. And, well, I never got to use it for the streams. Because, well, reasons. Anyway, cup of tea aside, along Route 5, I ran into another Nuzleaf which I caught and named Backup Plan in case Shifty decided to die. But I also got my first and only gift Pokemon I'm allowed in this Nuzlocke from the daycare, that being the gift Toxel. Now I named this one Trixie, and I planned to use it for the inevitable. So, just before reaching Hulberry, Hop wanted to fight me again, so I beat up his bird Pokemon with my bird Pokemon, allowing my bird Pokemon to evolve. I got to talk to the chairman, yada yada yada, it's gym time, and wait, hold up. The chairman wears an anklet? Anyway, forget that. I went to the Ness's gym, and easy! Next was Kabu's gym in Motostoke. Now, I was honestly scared for this one. I had nothing good against this team at the time, but then a thought hit me. At the bottom of Hulberry, there are docks that you can fish at. And since the town technically still counts as a new area, and when I'm fishing, I have no idea what Pokemon I'm gonna fish up, it still fits my whole surprise Pokemon encounter rule that I set up for this Nuzlocke. So I went down there and I caught Anna. After dinner with the chairman, I then went and beat up his endorsed kid, Bede, and oh shit, I forgot to swap out my Pokemon. No joke, this made me almost lose 3 of my most precious Pokemon, but DZ was able to tank some hits and save us all. And in the mines out of Hulberry, I was able to catch a Choodle, which was a bit of a struggle,
I also did name it Stewie. I know it says Stewie, but I don't care. I only realized the spelling of Stewie after I had named it. I don't care. Shut up. And I was killed after this, which meant I also had nothing up against Kabu, and I was very scared, but the panic was kind of short-lived because Stewie did evolve a little after Anna had died, and I did catch a Roggenrola outside of the mine, so my panic was a bit settled. After that horrible mine and all of the stress about the battle with Kabu coming up, I just wanted to go back to my hotel and sleep for the next gym, which I might possibly lose at, and Marty wants to fight. Fuck. This is how the battle went down. DZ one-shot her Krogunk. I then swapped out to Jellybean to take out her Morpeko, but I almost ended up losing Jellybean to this goddamn Pikachu clone, and then I stupidly swapped out Stewie and it almost died, but I was able to withstand the Thunder Shock, and then I hit back with the Skull Bash, stalled a little bit, finished it off with a Rock Tomb, and then let DZ take care of her Scraggy. After winning that battle, I saw I was kind of under-leveled, so I then went and I grinded some Pokemon and came back into the Fire Gym, and after 2.5 hours of my PC not crashing or having any issues whatsoever, it decided to start crashing every 8 minutes. I'm not exaggerating any of this. But anyway, this did kind of result in me missing some footage, which I do apologize for, but I was able to more or less fix it and didn't lose any footage in, of course, the part you're seeing now. So I did kind of miss out a lot of the gym challenge itself, but I did get the gym battle. Anyway, the battle starts. I send out Hoofer and set up a defense and lower his Ninetales' speed with Bulldoze, taking it out eventually. I then swap out to Stewie and prep using 2 Skull Bashes, giving me a defense boost in preparation for his Centiskorch. I got burnt, but that's fine. His Arcanine was gone, and it's time for Centiskorch, our first Gigantamax Pokemon. I tank its first hit before healing up and Dynamaxing my own Pokemon and taking it out no problem with 2 Rock Falls. And then it was time for tea. After tea, I get a goodbye from the gym leaders that I just thrashed, and Hop gets a beating from B. Nothing surprising there. On my way to the next gym though, there were some spots in the wild area where I had not caught a Pokemon yet, so I found a Boltoy I named Beyblade. I also tried my damnedest to encounter an Explanation Pokemon just past the river after catching a Beyblade, but I got chased around by a bunch of Sneasels and ended up running into one of them and caught that one just because of the sheer number of them. It was against my will. They were all coming for my Pokeballs. I also caught a Thievul along the way, which I named Boots, and another Sneasel, which was an Explanation encounter, which I named Pearl. Oh yeah, and this one had a Quick Claw too. Now, in the Dusty Bowl, I ran into a Scraggy, which I honestly didn't see in the yellow grass, but I thought it should be seen as an exclamation mark Pokemon because I honestly didn't see it coming. And it was also around this time my computer decided to break again, so I lost all the footage of me encountering it, and it was level 44. This meant it was way too overleveled for me to even catch, so I just fainted it, meaning I couldn't catch this Pokemon in the Dusty Bowl, and I was not allowed to catch a Pokemon in the Dusty Bowl thereafter. This was the first Pokemon in a route that I had fainted, and I was never going to get back. Important note here, after that Scraggy encounter, I feared encountering any Pokemon in and around the Dusty Bowl area because I was so scared they would be way too overleveled for me to catch and potentially wasting my 1 encounter per area rule that I made. So I avoided every Pokemon to try and catch some later at another point in time. When I reached Hammerlock, I stocked up, I healed up, told Leon his brother is a little bitch, and then spoke to my favorite gym leader, and then went to go speak to Sonya about Legends. Now on to Route 6, and the next wait, it's another yell battle. Oh well, shouldn't be that hard, and I almost lost Jellybean to poison! After that battle, I got my first encounter with a Helioptile, which again, like Scraggy, I never saw in the grass, and I didn't get to catch this one since it died from a lack of moisturizer in the hot sun. It was also around this point I again realized I was severely underleveled and decided to do some grinding. This was the worst choice I could ever make. You see, while grinding, I ended up losing Doily, and gained to next to no levels in the process. The fact began to sink in that if I wanted this video to be out before the Diamond and Pearl remakes as well as Legends of Arceus, I'd have to do what I really didn't want to do from the second I started this Nuzlocke. Raid Den battles. You see, beating a Raid Den battle would reward me with EXP candy along with other stuff, but here's a catch I want to apply onto myself. I'm not allowed to overlevel to go to an insane degree. That's bad. And if a Pokemon faints in a Raid Den, it will be considered dead, even if it's brought back by other partners in the battle with their cheering. I would also not be catching any of the Raid Den Pokemon I encounter at all. Even if that's my first encounter for the area, no. If I am lazy in my rules, I slip up, that's not okay. So anyway, with my rules set, I then went off to grind some Pokemon. The first Raid Den was a Corphish, and my team was actually really badass with the Pokemon they brought onto the table. On the second Raid Den, I didn't have that much of an amazing team, but I won anyway, leveled up some, and evolved some Pokemon as well. On my way through the rest of Route 6, after I was done with that, I beat up every single trainer there was, as well as evolved Shelly. Then when we arrived in town, Hop wanted a battle again, and I was really feeling sorry for this guy after seeing him so down, and I would really have loved to let him win, but this is also a Nuzlocke. You know the rules, Hop! Then I went on to Battle B. This one I wasn't so scared of, and my Shelly was actually able to sweep through most of the battles that were involved in the gym, and I just absolutely loved that. Oh, and Jellybean evolved as well on my way towards B. When I started the battle with B, I led out with Shelly, set up a Harden to prep for her physical attacks, and then took out her Hitmontop with 2 liquidations. Her Pangaro that she sent out next swapped out Shelly for Disco, but that wasn't an issue. I then swapped out Ribbon for her Surfetched, but got scared and switched out to DZ, who finished the job with Drill Peck. DZ also took out her Gigantamax Machamp, no problem, and just like that, another gym was out of the way. After that was over, I battled Bede in front of the kindergarten's finger painting made a historical monument, which got his endorsement removed, and I also learned a little bit of the lore, yada yada yada, next gym. When I encountered my first Pokemon in the Mushroom Forest, I realized I forgot to heal, but I ended up catching a Morgium named Axel. After using the movie learner in the next town, I was ready for the Fairy-type gym. I swept through her quizzes and went straight into battle. She led out with a Weezing, and I led out with Deezy. Her Pokemon kinda also hit like a baby, so I built up some Hone Claws in hopes that I could sweep through her whole team. But she then brought out Mawile, which reduced my strategy to nothing. So I swapped out to Jellybean, who one-shot the Mawile. She then brought out Togekiss next, so I brought out Trixie to Shock Fry the Togekiss. Next was her Alcremie, which I wasn't very scared of, but this cake, this fucking cake, almost nuked my Shelly. Anyway, I healed up through her Dynamaxes and swapped out to Jellybean to finish her off with 2 Power Balls to the face, cause that cake had it coming. After the fight, I was forced to walk this old hag that I had just beat to Hammerlock. There she proceeded to harass and then kidnap Bede. Anyway, on to Route 7 then. On Route 7, Hop wanted another battle, and other than his Snorlax being a little bit of a snag, he went down kinda easy. Once that was over, I ran into a Liepard, which I really did want for some reason, and Shelly ended up dying to catch this Pokemon, because I was sorta too stubborn to just let it go or faint it. So I named it Spite and then replaced Shelly with Spite, you know, in Spite. Now that I had Spite in my team in place of Shelly, this thing had some big shoes to fill since Shelly was an absolute unit in my team before my stupidity and stubbornness caused Shelly to die. Spite also had some big shoes to fill because of the fact that the next gym was a rock type gym. Shelly was going to be my ace against that gym. Now that she's gone, I have a problem. But along the way to the next gym, I caught a Sandaconda which I named Donut, and I wasn't able to catch anything else along this path, especially along the snowy path, which I kinda regret not being able to do. But after Route 8 was done, I got into town and realized just how screwed I was for the upcoming battle. So I went back and grinded some more raid dens, and after that I leveled up a little bit and went towards the Digging Duo. You see, the Digging Duo have potential to dig up either treasures, evolution stones, or fossils, or, you know, other stuff. But I went there specifically for a leaf stone. I wanted a leaf stone to evolve Shifty. This was my plan. I needed Shifty to evolve, giving me a little bit more edge against this next gym. So I went towards a Digging Duo in hopes that they will dig up at least just, you know, one leaf stone. And oh my word, this particular digging brother right here, I am just in shock. He dug up 34 fucking items. 34! That's the most I've ever got in any Digging Duo. On camera, off camera, this one was a machine. But with my leaf stone now in hand, I was ready for the next battle. Gordy opened up with his Barbarco, and its Razor Shell almost got me, but I one-shotted right after. Then he sends out Chuckle, which I kind of forgot about the type weakness to, almost costing me Shifty. I then swapped immediately to Stewie, who tanks the hits for the rest of the battle and steals the show, taking care of Gordy's entire team of Pokemon, and without changing my team afterwards, I battled Hop. No problem whatsoever. Next, along Route 9, I just caught an Octillery which I named Doc. I beat up some grunts, and next thing you know, I'm at my favorite gym battle in the entire game, for the fact that there is no Dynamax Bull, Spikeman. Or at least, you know, I would be in the next town if Marnie didn't want to battle me again. Oh well, it starts off with her Liepard up against my Liepard. Mine is obviously better, and after that I swapped out DZ to take care of her Scrafty. I then put my electric type up against her electric type, and I one-shot her Toxicroak through confusion. It was also around this time that my PC kind of borked, so I couldn't get the cool footage of Spikeman and its whole intro, but anyway, I headed straight into the gym after healing up my Pokemon. Now you want to see something sad? Something very, very sad? Literally one of the first battles into the Spikeman gym, I lost DZ. I lost DZ to a fucking counter. A counter from a Galorian Lanoon. Now I'm not gonna lie, I felt genuinely hurt about this one. Worse than I was about Shelly, and Shelly was my fault. I remember sitting at my screen for the damnedest longest of times, not even wanting to continue the Nuzlocke, but I have to finish this. I have to finish this for DZ and for all the other Pokemon's lives who I've lost in all this, and I have to kind of also finish it for you guys to see this through like I promised. So I let Ribbon take DZ's place, but damn, he had bigger shoes to fill than Spite did filling in Shelly's place after that. After all that, I went through his gym and I was up against Pierce. Now, my plan going into his gym was to use Sandstorm to get chip damage, then paralyze his Pokemon and use Headbutt to try and ensure his Pokemon could not move. balls to my plan, just swap it out and attack with Ribbon, okay? I then swapped out Hoofer to take on his Malamar, which defeats it after a few hits. Then he follows up with his Ace, so I send my own Ace out, which almost faints, again, in a similar way that DZ did. To a counter. A fucking counter! I panicked and then swapped out my Ace for Doc, and after a few heals and attacks, I was able to beat his Ace. Lastly, I sent out my musical Pokemon Trixie to take care of the musician's final Pokemon with just 2 attacks. After that, we skip a little bit of Leon doing all the work, and I encounter another Toxel. Now, I really wanted to catch this one in hopes that I would have a backup plan if Trixie were to ever die. But I also ended up accidentally fainting it because of a misclick. So, in my anger, I decided to go and kill the nearest Berserker. With my bloodlust now quenched, it was time for the last gym. Raihan's gym. This gym is by far my favorite gym in the entire game, whereas Pierce's is my favorite gym battle because of, no Gigantamax or Dynamax Bull. Raihan's gym I simply love for the fact that it uses a double battle format, which is used in competitive play, which I used to do a little bit of way back when, but also the way he stands in battle and the way he interacts with his Pokemon is by far the most expressive, animated, and over the top that I just can't help falling in love with him in battle. So I go into his gym challenge, and after an insanely long loading screen, I start the gym challenge. And immediately lose Doc afterward. My best chance against Raihan is now gone after the first trainer battle. I was terrified. I couldn't even swap out my Pokemon to something that could possibly take up Doc's place like I did in Pierce's gym with DZ. I don't know how that works. But I was now terrified because Doc was my best chance up against his dragons and his other Pokemon. In the next battle, I relied purely on status ailments and stalling because I was super scared of that Terminator and its shell trap. There was no way in holy hell I was going anywhere near that thing. Thank goodness I did stall because I didn't lose anyone there. The last problem was no battle though, and no one lost a life there either. Finally, I stood at the entrance to Raihan's battle, and I still couldn't swap out Doc to any other one of my Pokemon that I had stored away in the box. Just take a look at my team. It's set up for failure against his team. After around 10 minutes of literally sitting in front of my computer screen, I decided to Google his team. Now, I hadn't done this for any other gym before, but I was honestly very worried about how I would go up against Raihan's team. So after a little bit of research and a little bit of thinking, I saw there was absolutely nothing I could do. My entire team, every plan I could think of was set for failure. That was it. I was done. I had accepted that I was gonna lose this next gym battle. So, rather than facing Raihan and losing and having to walk out with my tail between my legs, I decided to walk out there with what little pride I had left, and holy shit, I could actually walk out of the stadium. What the fuck? I was just doing this for a gaffe, a joke, a bit, but now, oh boy, now I have hope. Now I can actually swap out Doc and my team for something better. I left and I grinded some raid dens in the wild area, and then came back, looked at my PC box, spent a lot of time thinking, and came up with a few plans. Even the best ones I could think of could very much easily lead to failure. But I mustered up my courage, and I went with the team and the plan that would allow me victory and still keep some of, if not my best Pokemon at the end of the battle. My team consisted of Shifty, Stewie, Trixie, Jellybean, Spite, and Hoofer. With my heart racing, my hands shaking, I ran in, ready to win this battle or die trying, knowing damn well one wrong move and it's all over. I led the battle with Spite and Stewie. Now, Spite I knew was my throwaway Pokemon here just because of how easy it could have fainted to any one of Ryan's attacks. So I decided to make it Sucker Punch his Flygon till either my Spite or his Flygon fainted. Stewie would use counter up against his Flygon as well, since I know his Flygon can and possibly will try to lower the attack stat of my entire team with Breaking Swipe if I had left it alive. My team mainly consists of physical attackers, so I was not allowing that Flygon to live. Spite fainted here, but that was fine. I threw in Jellybean to Pyro Ball his Flygon, which misses! This threw me into an absolute panic because my plan had suddenly failed, and his Gigalith, for some reason or another, does not take out Jellybean, instead attacking Stewie and allowing me to Pyro Ball his Flygon again. Anyway, this allowed me to Razor Shell his Gigalith, and that was that. This meant I still had a chance. I immediately swapped out Jellybean for Hoofer since I knew Jellybean could not take another hit after that. I also swapped out Stewie for Shifty, who might have been able to take a few hits, whereas Stewie I could see could not. He then Gigantamaxes. His Sandaconda protects as well, but that's fine. I wasn't aiming for his Sandaconda. I was going up against his Duraludon. Anyway, I followed up with my own Gigantamax and then healed up Shifty from taking a hit from his Duraludon. He then attacked Shifty again after I just healed it, and Shifty was gone after that. Hoofer is now the only Pokemon I can really have out that can very much take on his Pokemon. I cannot risk losing either Jellybean or Trixie for the later game. I just cannot. So, I throw in Stewie to be sacrificed. She will be missed. I finish off his Duraludon with Hoofer's next attack and then throw in Jellybean. Since I can theoretically avoid an attack from his Sandaconda using Bounce, I thought Hoofer might have been able to finish off Sandaconda when the Bounce was in action, but it couldn't. I then thought Jellybean might be able to finish it off with the Bounce when it hit. Nope! I had visions of Sandaconda using Earth Power taking Jellybean away from me. I was certain that was it. This is where my partner Pokemon would die. But thankfully, Sandaconda only decided to paralyze Jellybean, letting Hoofer take it out, and I left that gym with only Trixie, Hoofer, and Jellybean still alive. That gym was a bloodbath. As for the Pokemon that I lost during this gym battle, not a single one of them will be forgotten. And with a good chunk of my main team down, I knew I had to try and fill those empty slots in my team with something just as or even better than the Pokemon who used to be there. So remember the areas in the wild area that I had skipped catching Pokemon in? Yeah, I decided to go back to those areas and catch a few Pokemon. So I set off to try and fill up my team again, and the first Pokemon I encountered was a fucking Corviknight. Yes! DZ 2.0, just not as good. And I know this name isn't original, but I decided to name it Jackie. And it was also, at this point, I realized I was underleveled again, because this Corviknight was higher leveled than any of my Pokemon I had in my team. So I knew I had to hit the raid dens as well, besides catching a few Pokemon. After catching some new Pokemon and doing some raid dens, I had some new Pokemon on my team, including Go-Go, Mallow, Greta, and Chloe. After all the new additions to my team, I continued my journey onto Route 10, a broken man and suddenly regaining all hope in humanity when I saw such a cute little snob. But I also had no chance to evolve this thing because it needs high friendship to evolve. So into the box it goes. I then trekked the rest of the way up to Winden, which was uneventful, but once I got into Winden, I immediately went to the Pokemon Center and flew right back to the wild area to do some grinding and some more dens. This was all in preparation for the stadium matches that I would have to go through before I fought Leon. My first battle in Winden's Rose Stadium was Marnie. She sent out her Liepard first, meaning I could very easily let her first set up some Iron Defense and prep to tank the rest of the attacks coming from her Pokemon and take them out no problem with whatsoever. This was also about the time where my capture card decided to do a little bit of a hiccup, but I was able to fix it and continue battling, and Hoofer just decimated her whole team, taking them all out no problem. Liepard, Scrafty, Toxicroak, Morpeko, all donezo. But then came out her Grimmsnarl. I was honestly a little scared, and I thought Hoofer might have been able to take it on. And I was right! It took it out no problem at all with Max Steel Spike, no problem. After I was done with Marnie, the next fight I had was with Hop. Hop and I start off with the same strategy. We send out a Pokemon, buff up our defense, and attack, attack, attack. This of course though means that the first half of the fight goes on for way too long, and I got impatient. I swapped out Hoofer for Disco, used Calm Mind, and destroyed his Pokemon. Next he sent out Corviknight, and I was honestly kinda confused at this point as to why he would be sending out the Pokemon that he would normally Gigantamax out. You know, because I'm normally used to in the post game, he sends out his Corviknight last and he then Gigantamaxes it. But, oh well, I suppose I better Gigantamax too, or Dynamax, or whatever the case may be in this game. I still don't know why Dynamax or Gigantamax exists. It's stupid. But after I Dynamaxed, I realized very shortly after that I messed up. This was a mistake. In this fight, his Dynamax Pokemon is his starter, not his Corviknight. So I could have very much lost this battle because of a premature Dynamax. But anyway, I was now shaking my boots. I let Jellybean take out his other two Pokemon before my Dynamax ran out. I then swapped out to Trixie to take out his Pincurchin with two Boom Bursts, and finally he sends out his Rillaboom. So I let my starter face his starter as a proper finale to the match and all of our battles up until this point. He Dynamaxes, and that doesn't matter to me, because Jellybean can still— oh fuck, I missed! The crowd was cheering. They were cheering for only one of us to win though. I needed a way to work around this. I needed to leave this stadium with a full team of 6. So I predicted he might use Max Quake again. So I swap out to Hoofer to tank the Max Quake. I then expected him to use a grass type attack, so I sent out Jackie. It wasn't a grass type attack though, but a dark one instead. Doesn't matter because I still beat him using Jackie. This next section of the game is leading up to the last few battles of the entire game, so we're just gonna skim past this part. So after all those battles were over, I was supposed to have dinner with Leon and Hop, but Leon is running late. So it's up to us, with the help of Pierce, to find Leon's dumbass. So we start looking for him, but this lady, Alina, doesn't want us to find him. So we have to chase around and battle this clown over and over and over again, sing our hearts out in a street concert performance like a bunch of Disney princesses, cause a stampede to get a key to a building where Leon is, and then we have to climb up an elevator and battle our way through it, which doesn't have any casualties, but once we reach the top, we see Alina again! Yay! And there she wants to fight us, but we have a comeback for anything and everything she has to throw at us. Anyway, once we're done with that, we are rewarded with a silent set of very beautiful drawn images, which I'm sure this is where all the budget went for this game. But you know what? The images are pretty nice, and it gives us a little bit of story explanation as to why the chairman is the way he is and why Leon was late, but we're just gonna skip right over that into tomorrow. Now, before we fight Leon, we have to first fight all the gym leaders again. And by that, I mean just a handful of them, because the way this tournament's set up, it's very possible that the gym leaders can very much try and take Leon on and then replace him as champion by the looks of it, but we're not gonna bother about that. We're just gonna go straight into the battle. Anyway, I'm off to start the matches, and as far as I can remember, Nessa was supposed to be my first fight in this whole thing, but then I forgot that Beat actually interrupts the whole thing. But you know what, that didn't really matter because I had Trixie out in front for Nessa's water types, and Trixie's poison typing would have been good against Beat's fairy types, so it didn't matter to me. So Trixie takes out his Mawile. I then swap out to Hoofer to take care of his Gardevoir and his Rapidash, and then Jackie takes out his Hatterene with 2 attacks. Then finally, after all that delay, we get to the gym matches. My first opponent was Nessa, and for this battle, Trixie was the MVP. I did have to swap out a few times just for the sake of safety, but Trixie was the real girl of the match, hands down. Mallow took out her second Pokemon, and look, I had a blonde moment where I confused Seeking with a Kingdra, and I was like, Trixie can't handle that, so I used Jackie instead to confuse it, allowing me to finish it off and hit itself in its confusion. Trixie then fried her Pelipper and survived her Dreadnought's Max Rockfall, and then fried the Dreadnought too. Next was B. I knew Jackie was gonna absolutely destroy her team, but I was still a bit cautious. I forgot to swap out my Pokemon before the fight, and I sent out Disco out first, but surprisingly I outsped her Howlucha and one-shot it. Disco then proceeded to do the same thing to almost her entire team, except for her final Pokemon that I had to hit twice, but still I was not expecting B to be such an easy fight. Now my next fight was with Raihan. I am absolutely terrified of this man. After what he did to me and my Pokemon, I was too terrified to walk out onto that field. But I, as well as my Pokemon, remember what he did to us. So, with my Pokemon's moral support, I took a deep breath and charged down that hallway out onto the stadium field, and I was ready to win or go down with a hell of a bang. He sends out Torkoal, activating Sunny Day so he can use Solar Beam a bunch. I send out Mallow so that I can swagger it, confuse it, and raise its attack, allowing me to foul play no problem. I do get on low health, so I end up having to use a potion to stall Sunny Day out and waiting for a chance to strike. Next was his Terminator, which I was scared of. So I swapped out to Trixie, used Toxic, planning to stall him and let the poison take him out. But then I stupidly attacked using Venoshock. Thankfully, somehow his Shell Trap failed, and the poison did him in. I then swapped out to Mallow again. Here I used Swagger and Foul Play on his Flygon like I did with his Torkoal, but then I almost got one-shot by Earthquake. Predicting he'd use Earthquake again, I switched out to Jackie to see he actually used a full restore. Great! After a few turns, Jackie takes out his Flygon with a Drill Peck, and I stupidly swap out and almost lose Hoofer to his Goodra. But we did fine. Finally, his Duraludon. I kept Hoofer in, healing him up, and hoping to stall out his Dynamax before taking him out with my own. After that, I couldn't believe it. After the bloodbath of a battle I had with him last time, I walked out of that stadium with no Pokemon lost. No casualties. We were good to go against Leon. The fight I've been fearing this entire playthrough. Now, before I continue the rest of the story, fun fact about me and this game. When I played it the first time, before the Nuzlocke, before any of this, when I played it the first time and I fought Leon, I actually lost the first time. The second time I fought him, I won, but only just. It was with an amped Toxtricity, not the same one I got now, and it was with a max lightning up against his Charizard. I won, but by the skin of my teeth. That was my plan this time round. Knowing that Trixie was basically all I had good up against his Charizard, that was my plan. Now, I had Jellybean learn Electro Ball in case Trixie fainted anywhere along the way, but it looked like Trixie was going to be the one to take on his Charizard again, like my original Toxtricity did in my first playthrough. But of course, our battle gets interrupted before we can even fight Leon by the chairman. The chairman, I can see he wants to do good with his whole plan, but it could very much end up destroy the whole of Galar or the whole world in the process. So it's up to me and Hop to find a busted up sword and a busted up shield to save the day. Now, on my way into the Slumbering World to get the said sword and shield, I realized I hadn't caught a Pokemon in the Slumbering World yet. So I immediately ran up ahead to the point in the Slumbering World where stronger Pokemon pop up, and I ran into a Galarian Weezing, which I ended up catching and I named Pistachio. Anyway, after we got the sword and shield, we went back to Hammerlock to face the chairman as well as stop the Darkest Day, and luckily for me, the chairman rocks a full Steel type team. Meaning after Leon, couldn't beat and or catch it, it was a bit of a struggle and I had to stall with potions again, and I did beat it eventually before we had to go about its Dynamax form. Now, look, I genuinely did forget how cool the animation sequence for this particular event in the game is, so even though this was a Nuzlocke, where I could lose at any point during this entire fight, like, seriously, I can say now that I love this whole scene, despite all the screen shaking and all that. If the budget did not go towards those beautifully drawn images before where there was silence, I'm pretty sure all the other budget went here. Anyway, after all that screen nonsense, I caught Eternatus, which I refuse to use because I'm better than that. I would then go on to regret this decision later. After saving the entire Galar region from Eternatus and the chairman and his very, very flawed plan, it was time to face Leon. This battle is what this whole journey has led up to. My hands in real life were genuinely shaking as I walked down that hallway one last time. The people of Galar were cheering me on, but just as many people were cheering for me to lose. With a heavy gulp, I walked out onto that grass. Leon and I looked each other in the eye. We both knew that only one trainer was leaving this stadium with the crown of champion upon their head. I was determined to make that crown mine. While the crown may be stained with the blood of fallen friends from along my journey, I would not want their sacrifices and death to be in vain. The battle starts. He sends out his Aegislash, which I know Jellybean can potentially one-shot with ease if he doesn't use King Shield. But of course, he uses King Shield and blocks my attack for the first turn. Come the second turn, I don't knock it out with one shot, but I do come damn close. Now, I thought Leon would heal up his Aegislash, so I did the same thing to my Jelly Bean, but this was a mistake. Because in his next attack, I almost lost Jelly Bean. Now, I kept Jelly Bean in and finished off his Aegislash with Electro Ball because I knew I could outspeed it and I didn't need that much more attack left. After his Aegislash was done for, I swapped out to Disco for his Haxorus. He makes his Haxorus use Outrage, which does a lot more damage than I expected, forcing me to have to stall with potions until his Haxorus hits himself in his confusion, giving me a gap to attack. I did not one-shot it though, and Disco got one-hit crit killed by the next Outrage after that. Now that was a heavy loss for sure, as I was really hoping that Disco could last a bit longer and take out a bit more of his team. Specifically his Inteleon, with Mirror Coat potentially one-shotting his Inteleon if I played my cards right. But I send out Jelly Bean to take out his Haxorus, knowing that I can outspeed it like I did to his Aegislash. With one more Pyro Ball, the Haxorus was down. I then swapped out to Mallow for Inteleon instead, because that's the best I got. My goal was to tank his hits and then use Foul Play, but holy fuck! Leon's Inteleon is buffing Mallow. What the hell? He uses Tearful Look, but Mallow has the ability Contrary, which reverses the stat changes done to him, meaning that when Leon tried to lower my stats, he ended up increasing them for 2 turns. This was it. This is exactly what I needed to stand a chance to win against this battle, because I was drawing at straws here, okay? Anyway, with my stats buffed, I use Night Slash to take his Inteleon down, and then he sends out his Dragapult, which I was sure Mallow could not take down. But with the buffs that Inteleon had gave him, his Dragapult was donezo in one hit. So far so good. He then sends out his Mr. Rime, which I'm not too scared of, but I heal anyway. He then uses Freeze Dry, which takes a huge piece of my health, forcing me to heal over and over and over again until I get a window of attack. Eventually, my stupid ass swapped out Mallow for Hoofer, forgetting type advantages, and Mr. Rime uses Teeter Dance. Which means I could have had the perfect time to attack using Mallow, but you know what? Anyway, eventually a misclick leads me to not landing a heavy slam on Mr. Rime, which, you know, might have one-shot this tap dancing demon, but knowing I cannot live 2 hits from Mr. Rime, I saw I had no other choice but to sacrifice Hoofer. All because of my stupid misclick. I couldn't swap him out to Trixie because I needed her for Leon's Charizard. Mallow would die in the next hit, and I did not want to risk Jackie or Jellybean because Jellybean was 1 hit away and I was damn terrified that Jackie might die in 1 hit as well. So I decided to heal Jellybean instead, and once Hoofer was gone, despite me missing 1 Pyro Ball, Jellybean finished off Mr. Rime, making way for Leon's Charizard. Leon's Charizard is the Pokemon I fear the most in this entire game. I swapped out Jellybean to Trixie. We both Dynamaxed our Pokemon. Now, like I explained in my plan before, if Trixie did die somehow by a crit or something, I knew Jellybean could potentially take out his Charizard using Electro Ball, but that was a hope, and a hope I didn't want to have to try and make a reality. Now, Trixie sadly wasn't able to outspeed his Charizard, but she was able to tank a max Rockfall like it was nothing, and then land a max Lightning right afterward, almost taking out his Charizard. And if he didn't land a critical hit, I could have easily won this battle. No problem. But he then uses his signature move, and Trixie was gone. I just have Mallow, Jackie, and Jellybean left. I wanted to make damn sure my backup plan worked. So I had to heal up Jellybean to give him a fighting chance, meaning I had to sacrifice another member of my team. That ended up being Mallow, one of the best Pokemon I've possibly ever used, since he took me by surprise by just how good it was to use swagger and foul play on top of each other, especially with his ability helping out in this particular battle so damn well. Anyway, once that was done, I sent out Jellybean one last time, and with one final kick, Jellybean takes us to the top, and we become the champions of the Galar region. As Leon gives everyone in the crowd a heartfelt speech, I looked back on everything that got me here, and while I was glad to have finally completed my first ever Nuzlocke, with my partner Pokemon landing the final blow no less, I did feel sort of hollow in a way. I'm only here because my Pokemon died for me to get here. Some, if not all of them, died because of my stupidity. Anna, Doily, Shelly, Daisy, Doc, Stewie, Shifty, Spite, Mallow, Hoofer, Disco, and Trixie. All died to get me where I am, and they will forever live on in spirit as my partners who helped me through this. I just wish they were here to see how far they let me come, and so that they could enjoy the lovely fireworks.